what happened to me? Why is my identity a byproduct of habits and I don't even know who I am? Your habits are what forms your identity. Hey everybody, Todd Saylor here, wired to differently, unconventional brilliance right now. Listen, I'm going to talk to you about the habit loop, right? I want you to understand that the habits that you have are the North Star of your identity. And if you love this video, like, follow, share, and subscribe.
Preview.
Todd is not only a remarkable, successful 30-year titan in business with having multiple businesses that generate multiplied millions of dollars.
And if that plan happens to be to build $1 million company, which I can help you do.
But he's humble. He's a man of God. He's a family man. The world's news organizations are built on everything but positivity.
He is an influential entrepreneur and business speaker for over 30 years.
I've got to forecast. I've got to pronounce. I've got to project. I've got to share with you my ideas, my vision, my goals for not only myself, but for you.
That's why he came up with his incredible concept of taking and creating a platform for people that are wired differently.
And you got to understand that your habits of your person and your habits of your business and your habits of your spirituality have to lead to the North Star of who you are. We need to figure out who we want to be in life.
The habit loop is something I started teaching, probably a year ago, 18 months ago, and it just seems like it's really caught on. It's relatable that people can hear when I talk to them on stage or I'm doing training, and I think it's probably very popular because it fits so well into my teachings of identity, right? And so when I teach people about identity, I teach people to become the identity that they want to be, not the identity that the world makes them. And what very few people understand is that your identity is determined by your habits. And so if we're aware of an identity crisis, good or bad, right? And we want to be something, which we all should aspire to be something, then we should understand what the building blocks are on how to create that something. And so the building blocks for creating an identity that you want to be are the habits that you demonstrate. So the first thing I would talk to somebody about a habit loop is understanding is, what do you want to be? If you know what you want to be, then let's reverse engineer this thing into becoming the habits that create that identity. The building blocks of the identity of a Christian is the habits of studying the Bible, for instance. The identity of being a Super Bowl winning quarterback are the habits of throwing the ball every day and studying the playbook, right? And so habits determine your identity. So if we know what our identity is, then we actually create the habits to create those identity. Now that's a 2-hour teaching right there, but I would also go far as to tell you, how do you create a habit then, Todd? Well, the habit's kind of simple if you think about it. Habits kind of get a bad name. Habits are always like bad habits: smoking, drinking, watching bad things on videos. Those are bad habits, right? But habits can be good habits, and habits are the things or rituals or the routines we make and do that create our identity. So if we have a good identity, then let's create some, come on now somebody, some good habits. Well, how's a habit made? Well, a habit's made in 4 pieces, right? I think you need to understand, for it to be a habit, it has to go through a cycle of 4 things. And if it does all 4 of these things, then it's a habit. So the first thing in a habit is that it has to have a cue. Something happens, cue. Like the alarm goes off in the morning. That's a cue for me. Now that cue, when the alarm goes off, gives me this cue, and the cue says coffee. So I have a craving for coffee. So the cue is the alarm and the craving is coffee. So I have a cue is my first thing that happens for my habit development. And the second thing for my habit development creates a craving. So now I have a cue and a craving. The first 2 things. Cue is 1, craving is 2. Now after I have that craving, I have to have a response to that craving. So I go over to the coffee maker, I turn the coffee maker on, put the grounds in and grind them up, turn it on. It all starts and right. Now the third thing happens, and now that's my response. And then the 4th thing to a habit to create the whole loop is a reward. Cue, craving, response, then reward. I get the coffee, I drink the coffee. I relax. I start to read the devotional of the morning. So what I want you to understand in this short video is that you all have habits, right? And they're a habit because you have 4 steps to a habit, and called the habit loop. You have a cue, you have a craving, you have a response, and then you have a reward. That is a habit. Good or bad habits have all the 4 steps. But what I want you to understand in this short video is that if you want your identity to be a good identity that you're projecting for the world to see, then create your own habit loop that will reinforce that identity. That's your habit loop story for the day. I hope you have a great day. And I want you to start thinking about your habit loops. And more importantly, what's your identity? Hey, everybody, if you liked the video on the habit loops and the habits are the North Star of your identity, well, I have a lot more for you. Come follow me on Facebook, Todd Saylor Wired Differently, at 7:30 a.m. every morning. I'm live and I'm teaching. Join the Mindset Mission Ministry in the movement of Wired Differently and its unconventional brilliance. And if you subscribe, click below, and I'm going to send you my latest book, Your Will Be Done, and the workbook, Your Will Be Done workbook, in digital format for free. I'd love to have you. I'll see you on the show.